The next app that I'm going to go over is called Interview Assistant. Interview Assistant is a mobile research application that is specific to the iPad. For me, this application is one-stop shop to organize and collect data for all of my qualitative research projects. Not only does this app make one-on-one interviewing easy and discreet for public settings, it has a multitude of other functions that makes labor-intensive qualitative research much more manageable and less time-consuming. Just as I did for Evernote, I will present a scenario to demonstrate how this mobile application is ideal for research. The scenario I will present to you today is one of my own research work projects. I am currently conducting a study of men and women's lived experiences with genetic testing for hereditary cancers. Much of my work is qualitatively driven, and I conduct intensive interviews regularly with my participants. Today, I will review the app Interview Assistant to show you some of the regular issues and miscommunications that can occur during an interview, which this application can prevent. Namely, scheduling issues, answering the right questions, and compiling data accurately, safely, and confidentially. So let's go to the first function, the audio recorder. The primary and most basic function of this app is that it allows you to record your one-on-one interviews with participants via your iPad. While this kind of function can be found on many mobile devices, the appeal of the iPad is that it allows researchers to record interviews on the fly in any setting. This application can be used discreetly in informal and public settings so that my interview participants can feel more comfortable. The commonplace usage of iPads in a public setting will also ensure that surrounding persons are unaware that the conversation is taking place and in fact is an interview. Gathering data on the iPad comes across as more natural than methods of interviewing in the past. Not only can I record the audio of the interviews, but I can check off preset questions that I have filled in on the app as they are answered. This ensures that as a researcher, I stay on track and ask the relevant questions that I need answers for. This is essential in the semi-structured interviews that I often conduct, where topics can change and participants can oftentimes veer off topic. You can also sync this app to Dropbox, allowing researchers to share their progress with work colleagues or academic advisors. I find this useful for sending my research assistants the audio files of my interviews so they can transcribe and code the interviews. Another appeal of the audio recording application on an iPad device is that it is an unobtrusive way to record someone. You can simply press begin and record the interview with the device discreetly placed on the table, or you can hold it in order to take ongoing notes. Any surrounding people of the public will be unaware of the nature of the social interaction. Several of my participants have expressed to me that they feel very comfortable with an iPad on the table, more so than they would with another recording device or perhaps a microphone for recording. In addition to these benefits, even though this technology comes in the form of a free app, the quality of the audio recording is not sacrificed at all. The second function, interview profiles. One of the most sophisticated features of this app is that it allows you, the researcher, to create profiles for each participant you're interviewing. After you have finished interviewing a participant, you can easily link the audio of the interview with their profile. This function still enables the researcher to keep a person's identifying information confidential. For example, I often give my research participants a number to identify their profile and then match the audio file of the interview with this number rather than using their real name. With this function, I could also give participants the option to pick their own pseudonym to fill into the name section on the profile feature. This profile feature is extremely helpful prior to an interview because it means I can look up a participant before I speak with them and view some of the basic details about them. You will see on the screen now a complete interviewee profile, a man named John Smith, who I interviewed on the 12th of August. Let's go to the third function, note taking. Another useful tool on this app is that the interviewer can take notes on the interview as it is being recorded. Similarly to Evernote, interviews are geotagged to their location. The ability to easily take notes during the interviews, all use the same app, is extremely useful. I oftentimes jot down important information that my participants say. In this way, I begin the analyzing and coding process with the data as it is being laid out and thinking critically about what participants are saying, even as the interview is ongoing. Sometimes during an interview, I can forget to ask the participant a certain question, or perhaps I remember that there's a topic that I'd like to return to later on. Using the interview assistant note-taking function, I can make reminders for myself to ensure that I do not finish the interview without getting this information. I prefer not to interrupt any of my participants while they share their stories with me, and so this function is very helpful and ensures that the interview is productive and conducive in conversation. Interview Assistant allows me to both take notes and record in the same easy-to-use setting. Function 4, scheduling interviews. The final Interview Assistant function I really enjoy in this application is the interview scheduling feature. Oftentimes, I have multiple interviews to conduct in 1 week or even a day, and it can really be tricky to manage them all. Having a schedule with me at all times, however, allows me to stay on top of my schedule. With Interview Assistant, I can simply schedule an interview for a given date and set a time for the app to remind me prior to the interview. This is really helpful and efficient, as I will not need anyone to keep a tab of my interview schedule, as the app will do that work for me. I usually set the interview reminders 1 hour before the scheduled time so I can prepare my questions and gather any relevant material I might need. As you can see from my interview that I initially scheduled with John Smith is marked on my calendar as a reminder so that I can quickly check this in the morning. In conclusion, Interview Assistant for me is one-stop shop for qualitative researchers who want to make obtaining subjugated knowledge through the method of interviewing much less labor-intensive and overall a really rewarding research experience.